What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Unfiltered Empire. Today, I got my boy Jai with me. I'm your host, Melo. We are back here with episode 1 on Wisdom Wednesday. How you doing today, my guy?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Ready to knock out this video. What's up with you?
I'm doing great, bro. As you guys can see, we switch it up. We're doing it virtually, and we got to get it done any way, shape, or form.
Yes, sir.
We have a couple of topics and a big headline for this episode. The biggest headline for this one is why everyone's kind of talking about celebrity drama, the NBA, sports, etc. The world's shifting quietly right under our feet. We're going to be talking about the distractions that are out here right now, the Trump weather cut. Elon Musk had some takes on slavery that is kind of not really crazy, but you open your eyes to what's going on. And then Canada is also throwing some warning shots at America as well. So the first thing we're going to talk about on this episode is actually this big bill. Everyone knows Trump put out a bill that's part of a broader budget proposal aimed to trimming climate science and regulatory programs. Some of the pros of this bill: if you are pro deregulation, it does reduce federal spending and it shrinks the government's control. Some of the cons that are on here is weakens early warning systems, which shows us the climate research and also hurts coastal and farming communities the most. They call it cost cutting, but it's really info cutting if you think about it. If you control the weather data, you control the fear. So I did want to throw it over to Jai and have Jai break it down a little bit, because there's a video that's going out right now of a meteorologist that warned people about what's happening, and now that it happened, he's still trying to warn people, and now it's like, let's actually bring some light to what's going on. Let's actually talk about it. Let's learn, take in what we need to know so we're prepared for the future. What do you got, Jai?
So, like he said, a meteorologist was saying how this bill is now going to start affecting the weather, and this is going to start affecting everybody else now as well. There's people in Florida, there's people on the Gulf Coast who need this information to be able to evacuate as quickly as possible, to be able to leave whenever the right time is. Not too early, not too late. This is now about to become a huge problem, and people are so distracted right now that they're not seeing it. So I'm gonna give you all a couple of statistics that he was talking about, and then I'm gonna talk about why this is so important for us to be talking about right now. So first, Central and South Florida National Weather Services is 19 to 39% understaffed. There are 17% reduction in weather balloon launches across the U.S., and forecast accuracy has degraded. That's not just a mild inconvenience, it's a safety risk. So meteorologists and first responders rely on these systems to give us heads up before the hurricane hits. If the services are understaffed and the weather data is incomplete, our communities are falling behind. So, what is this saying really, besides me reading this? If you know that hurricane season is hitting, for a lot of people, even in Georgia, you've seen the hurricane and how much it affected us just in Atlanta. We got rushing hard winds. We had people's cars being destroyed. We had glass and things like that being broken, and we're not even on the coast. So imagine what's going on in Florida. Now y'all are having huge gusts of winds coming through your house. People are having serious flooding and things like that. Now that this industry is being defunded, now you can't even know when this is about to hit. The sirens go off and stuff like that, you'll hear that, but you won't even know when you're able to leave. You won't even know if the night before, if you're gonna wake up and there's gonna be if your house is gonna be flooded and you're gonna be lifted up on your bed. So people are getting really distracted right now, and we need to open our eyes a little bit and see what's going on. We are one of the smartest generations, but also one of the only generations that don't watch the news that much. We get most of our news. So we get most of our news from our phones, and we're getting it from either the Shade Room, we're watching World Star, Facebook or whatever else you're on as well, and TikTok, which TikTok is even better, I would say, than to get your news off of Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. But the point is that we're one of the only generations that don't watch the news that much. The news, yes, is going to have different agendas to push towards you. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to weather, when it comes down to the crime that's happening in your area, that's all focused towards you. So we need to wake up a little bit, start watching the news, seeing what they're talking about, because this is going to go into what we're going to be talking about a little bit later as well, where there's a divide now, because yes, there's a certain agenda getting pushed out towards you.
Okay. So with everything going on, with hearing about the NOAA weather team now getting defunded in certain places, and now not being able to update you when something catastrophic could come and destroy your home, that's alarming. That is pretty alarming. And then it's like, I'm reading some of the CNN titles of these articles, and then one of them says the forecast is in. Hurricane season is going to be active again. America's weather and disaster agencies are in turmoil. So when you think about it, they tell us about how powerful America is. They tell you about how powerful things are. But then the systems that we have here are in turmoil. What could cause a system to be in turmoil? I look back and now I'm thinking of what year are we in? We're in 2025. What have I personally been preaching since day one? Well, this year is solar cycle 2025. And also looking at it, solar maximum hits in July. And it's right now June. It's June, the month before July. So the max peak of energy is going to be hitting the earth next month. And I keep reiterating that because it's like, think about what we've already seen this year so far. I already mentioned we had an earthquake here in Atlanta just a couple weeks ago. We have St. Louis that just had a tornado that ripped through the whole entire city and destroyed everything. Man, I hope those people, condolences to anyone that passed away. I hope everything works out well for those people and they find shelter and help. But you're seeing more and more activities happen at a larger scale. You're seeing more weather activities hit that you think to yourself, you're like, damn, this ain't normal. This really ain't that normal. And to see all of these different things happening, you got to sit back and think as well, if he keeps saying solar maximum 2025 and the most energy is going to hit in July and most likely onward to the end of the year, that's hurricane season. That's the worst season of the year for people that live down south. And when you're seeing things already happening at a high peak where it's abnormal, some would say, and then you have the weather teams telling you, yeah, we probably won't be able to track this accurately either anymore, that has to start alarming people. But it doesn't have to alarm you to where you start going to worry mode or fret mode. It has to alarm you to go into I need to know as much as I can mode, because there's no way that I'm happening. Just like Jai mentioned earlier, with all these new news stations and news broadcasting programs. I'm a person that I don't really watch the news, so it's like to the perspective. That's why it's so great when people have conversations. It is to the perspective. I don't really trust majority of the news. Yes, you can get your weather from the news. Yes, you will get your crime locally from the news, and they'll let you know what's going on. But a lot of platforms have an agenda because of who owns and runs the platform. So we also, having that and having being the generation that doesn't really watch news too much, we also are living in the best time possible because we can go source our news ourselves. We can go to TikTok and go find someone that's talking truth. You can go to X and go find someone that's talking truth. You can go to all these different platforms and find somebody that is not just saying what you like, saying the things that are actually going on in reality and showing you why it's happening like that. And then it's up to you now, because we do live in a technology age, we live in an AI age. It's up to you now to cross-reference everything. It goes back to being how everyone is just caught in the attention span of the things that don't matter, and showing us that we're not using our resources, because you are now capable of fact-checking anybody in the world. Back then, people watching the news couldn't fact-check anybody. You're listening to what they're saying to you, and you're just going along with what they're saying, and you're believing it. Now you have so many tools in your hand, you can fact-check anything. If Jai says something I don't agree with, well, I can go on my AI and ask the right type of question and figure out more on what he's trying to tell me so I can understand it for myself. I feel like we're in that time where now we're pushing away the truth for what we feel is right. Just like how you're seeing with a lot of these bills, the truth of the matter is the weather's going to get worse. The weather's going to get stronger. Why would you defund things for them to save money? Why would you take money away from the weather system? That just doesn't logically make too much sense. I understand, yes, you're going to be saving money. I understand the bill cuts a lot of different spending, and shrinks government control. But what really matters is, are people being prepared for catastrophic events matter, or us saving a bunch of dollars when we're adding millions of debt at the same time? It just contradicts itself, and it makes you want to think. Like, the main goal of everything we say at the beginning, we say every day, the goal is to start thinking for yourself, thinking on what's going on, and let me figure out what actually is going on. Let me not just go on social media and see someone screaming and shouting about this and that and then taking that and running with it. No, let me do some more research on it. Like, me and Jai is breaking down a statistic to you. He didn't come up with a statistic. The statistic came from an article. What did he have to do? He had to go to the article, go to the video, break it down, and then bring it down to somebody with some knowledge behind it. It's the same thing we got to do with our information that we're getting nowadays. We can't just blindly start believing everything we're seeing. What's your thoughts on that, bro?
I agree with you. So I was gonna get into a little bit of the distractions of how people are watching the Cardi B situation going on. And again, I don't know too much on it for real to be speaking on it, but it's a distraction for what's actually going on. Again, there's a bill that they're defunding weather. Out of all the things they can defund weather, like that's not even a race thing. That's a humanitarian thing. That is for everybody in all of the world. Why are we defunding that? It's going to get into some of the things that Melo is about to talk about right after this as well, with the the China situation and Trump.
Yeah.
You're being distracted by Cardi B and what her new boyfriend is, what Meg Thee Stallions has going on with Tory Lanez and such like that. And it's okay. And that's one thing I want to add before you go. It's okay to be distracted here and there.
I have one thing I would say on the distractions part real quick while we wait for him to come back in the room. And it breaks down to, you can be distracted right now a little bit, but no one's perfect. No one's a human being. You can scroll on this device a little bit. You can do different things, but it's having control. It's having the ability to be like, this might be a little too much. And knowing that it's a little too much, bro, it's like, what am I really consuming? What am I taking in?
But the point that I'm making is, it's okay to be distracted a little bit. You have hobbies, you know what I'm saying? You like to watch sports, you want to scroll through TikTok at the end of the day, you've had a long day at work, totally understandable. It's now when these distractions are now the only thing you're thinking about. And that's where it becomes a problem. Because again, I'm just scrolling on my phone and I see that. I didn't even see it on the weather or on the news today. So that just shows how distracted I was. I hadn't even gotten up, and that wasn't even the first thing that I saw for this morning. But go ahead, Brody. I'll let you get into some of the stuff you're at.
I was saying earlier a little bit where it is okay to be a little distracted, and the biggest thing is having control of your distractions. I look at it now, and I look at what I do. I look at how I'm on my phone. We're in an age now where we keep going back to technology and how technology is so advanced. Well, it's on us as well too. Like, if you're on TikTok, if you're gonna scroll on TikTok, if you're gonna scroll on X, if you're gonna scroll on Snap, if you're gonna scroll on Instagram, you control the algorithm that's on your feed. So there's a For You page, there's a following page. 99% of the time, we're gonna be on the For You page, because then this gives us so much different options of what we want to consume. But it's up to us to make sure that what you're consuming isn't nonsense as a distraction, because the cognitive warfare that is on us right now is to the max. They want you to be distracted as much as you can be. They want you to be scrolling and not taking in anything with knowledge, because then you don't want to question anything else. Just like how we're talking about the weather. Most people our age probably don't even care about the weather, if I'm being honest. They just want to wake up, see it's sunny, know it's going to be no rain. They see a cloud, they know it might be some rain. But they might not actually care too much about what's actually going on, what's actually being defunded. And that boils back down to literally having mental discipline, because it is Wellness Wednesday. Wellness meaning well-being in your body, well-being in how you're taking care of yourself. We're not just talking about this just to talk about it. Well, let's start realizing what's going on. Let's start keeping up to date with the weather. Let's start finding different sources to find content from. It's okay to be distracted a little bit, but what's distracting you? Is Cardi B and Stephon Diggs distracting you? Is what the NBA Finals distracting you? Because it distracted me a little bit. I played basketball. I was a professional semi-professional basketball player. And after experiencing that, it's like you want to be immersed in the game as much as possible. But it's like you can't let the game distract you from what's reality and what's going on in your real life and what really matters. Talking about Canada, I'm talking about China and Trump. People got to realize China's quiet, but we're talking about China a lot these past couple months. Every single week, look at the headlines. People don't pay attention to the headlines. Every single week, we're talking about something that went on with China. I have a X post that's over here that Trump came out and said earlier. He just talked about with Putin today and how it was a good call, but not a conversation that would lead into immediate peace. And it's like, we're in it. We're showing you every step of the way. They're using social media as a tactic. I don't remember much presidents that were tweeting out what type of conversation they had with another country. I don't remember a president that was going online and telling you that China's not been the good guy, now it's time for me to be the bad guy. I've never seen that happen before in my life, but we're seeing that now at a larger scale. Why do you think they're going to social media to push these things? Because that's where everyone's at. Think about it. Push the content to where everyone's at, knowing that they won't really control what they're seeing. So if we push something like this, they won't really pay attention to it for real. The only people that really are locked in are the people that's every day watching Fox News, CNN every day. They're watching CNBC, they're watching NBC Network, they're watching all these different things on TV. And obviously when you watch these different things, you're getting one side version of what they want to tell you compared to what you need to hear. And that's why we're here. That's why we have the Unfiltered Empire. That's why it is called the Unfiltered Empire. While we are in the middle of talking about that, I do want to tell you to subscribe, like, and share the video with somebody. Do yourself a favor and do your peer a favor by sharing these videos with them. To be like, hey bro, like, this is something out of your range. It's something that we don't usually watch, but let's start watching this a little bit. They speak like how we speak. They're our age, bro. They're not better than us, bro. We just be all doing the same thing, but they're just trying to put some new knowledge on us. And it's like, same thing with China. Why do you think China teaches their kids so early on AI? And why do you think why do you think they have such a centralized system where everything on their social media is centralized? They know exactly what you're taking in. They know exactly what you're watching, just like here. But what are we pushing out to the people? In China, they're pushing out their own plan. They're pushing out their own growth system. They're pushing these kids early to become engineers, to become AI techs, to become prompters. We're pushing our kids now to be TikTok stars. We're pushing our kids to be streamers and play video games. And then realistically, doesn't really help our environment for the long run. Because it's just like what me and Jai were talking about earlier as well, man. Everything is a distraction if you think about it. Everything's a distraction. The phone's the biggest distraction that we have. But what are you consuming on an everyday basis? I don't really want to go too deep in the China part of it.
I agree, but
I don't know all the details.
Good.
And I just don't. I was gonna say I don't like talking too much on things I don't fully have knowledge on, because then I don't want to misinterpret what I'm trying to say compared to the truth, and then now give that out to the world as that's my truth, and it's not the truth.
So just before we go on to our next conversation, I just want to add on to what he said. Even though we're not going to talk too much on what we don't know. With 80,000 electricians are needed each year for the next 5 years, and 5,500,000 plumbers are needed by 2030. I just wanted to add those stats in there as well, because like he said, in China, this is what they're pushing their children to learn. This is what they're pushing their children to know for the future. Again, do you want to be the guy that when you need something getting done in your house, you got to call somebody and they're hitting you over the head with stupid prices and adding more stuff on to whatever needs to be fixed? Or do you want to be the guy that says, okay, I know I can go to the store, spend a little less money on what I need, and I can fix it myself?
I think that's lacking in a lot of us, bro. I grew up with my dad. When something goes wrong in the house, before Brody calls anybody, he's gonna try to fix himself. It might be a plumbing issue,
or at least
not a plumber. He's going to try to fix it himself.
Yeah, and at least I was gonna say, at least use the tools that are given to you. You're on YouTube and Instagram anyway. Why not look up a quick fix? How do we get this done?
We have to, and right now is the most important time to start using your resources. AI is here. You can send the picture to AI and have AI break down exactly what you need to do to fix that picture. You also have Notebook LM. If you're interested in learning about Notebook LM, I made a YouTube video on it teaching you in our Tech Tool Tuesday episode. So go check that out so you can learn these tools. Like, it'd be one thing if you're not getting pushed as well. It'd be one thing if there wasn't an outlet to the things you need to learn, and it was just negativity all day on social media. It was just negative energy, things that push you to not wanting to get better, things that push you to not wanting to be better. But there's a section out there that's pushing positivity, that's pushing and bettering yourself, that's pushing learning new tools and learning new techniques and how to get better in life. But you gotta go seek it out. It's just that simple now. You have to seek it out because they're gonna hide it away from you. Because they don't want you to use. You think they want you to be building your own business with AI and having AI run your business for you? They don't want you doing that. If you know what's really going on in the world, you know that a lot of things that are coming to you is portrayed as a vision and not the truth. They don't want you to know that because then you're going to start asking too much questions. And when you realize you're pissing someone off by asking too many questions, that's when you know you're doing the right thing. That's when you know you got to keep going harder. Also, on a side note, for my people that are in the economics, wanting to learn more about economics, I do have some marketing global sentiment shift that's been going on. Right now, the sentiment for this month is shaky. Inflation's cooling, but the Fed might still raise rates again. If we're seeing this issue between Donald Trump and Jerome Powell, and we're seeing Jerome Powell continuously keep saying Fed rates need to be cut, that shows you there's turmoil inside the home. Inside the home, there's turmoil. You don't want turmoil inside the home. You want the home to be a happy home so the home can work at the highest level and the highest power that possible. And then we have foreign investors still pulling back away from a lot of U.S. stocks. Not fully, because you can't pull away from NVIDIA, you can't pull away from Amazon, you can't pull away from Microsoft, you can't pull away from those companies because those companies are running the world in a way. But then the BRICS is also pushing forward. So you got to pay attention to what's going on with BRICS. BRICS is another common currency that is out there. But I was also saying, BRICS, people got to look at BRICS and look at how that is another currency that's coming out. I'm just talking a little bit about the global sentiment and what's going on right now in the world with economic wise. And then also the US, there's a note that I have down. How do you build wealth when the ground beneath you is cracking? You lock in discipline, you tune out the noise. Right now, the ground beneath us is cracking, just like I used the example earlier of Jerome Powell and Trump. If you have the president telling the Fed chairman to cut rates and the Fed chairman saying that he doesn't want to cut rates, that's a sign of an unhappy home. An unhappy home should provide the same way a happy home provides and produce. So when we have the ground shaking above us, we have to get more discipline and tune out all that nonsense that's going on in the mainstream, because the mainstream's always going to be pushing nonsense to you. They're not really going to be pushing stuff to you that you need to be hearing. What value does that give to them? If you stop listening to them, they lose money. They lose money, who's mainstream no more? Now there has to be a whole new wave of mainstream people. They don't want a whole new wave of things. That's why someone's in office now trying to go back to what he wants. Because there's not a shift of, let's change everything for the positive. It's a shift of, let's keep negativity flowing. And anyone that comes that try to break the line, we get rid of them. So it's like, the more discipline you get and the more you tune out all the other stuff, you end up learning how to break the line. And they're gonna try to get rid of you. But then you're so disciplined, you're so powerful that nothing can stop you from going to where you're trying to go and lock it in. That's why we do this video on Wisdom Wednesday. It's wisdom. At the end of the day, it's your mind's everything. You break down how to start seeing what's going on in the world. We talk about China. You don't see much young people talking about these different types of topics. Well, why are we talking about that? Because we're expanding our brain to realize what reality is really about. What's really going on in the world. You start learning that, just like the last video, comes clarity. You are more powerful when you have a clear vision of where you're trying to go. And I feel like Jai can attest to that, because we're all seeing how our vision is growing and how we've gotten clarity of building the little, not even little things. We've built some really humongous things in the background that we have boiling up in the pot that's waiting to pop open and go crazy. And it's like, it's just a time of discipline and tuning out the bullshit and the things that don't matter for real to get to your goal. Because I know you feel that, bro.
Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to. Like, are you going to be disciplined enough to work on what you want to work on? Or are you going to stay in this same funk of, okay, let me get up, go to work, scroll to TikTok, go to sleep? You know what I mean? So it's kind of that time where everyone, and the good thing about, even though the economy is going to crap right now, the good thing is a lot of people are speaking about, okay, what can we do to change? Okay, what can I do to discipline myself and change? So that is a good thing, but it's kind of time for everybody to jump on the wave. Okay, let me watch, like Melo said, let me watch Tech Tuesday, where, okay, I'm learning about AI. Okay, I'm enhancing my thoughts now a little bit on what's going on in with the weather situation. Again, it's small steps. You don't have to take in everything at once, but it's time to start focusing on something instead of being distracted. I think that's all I got.
Everyone wants chasing self-employment. Everybody wants to be self-employed. Everybody wants to finally be able to, they want to be able to sustain their time and get their time freedom back. But the one thing I will say, because I'm saying this from the people I'm speaking to, the people I'm speaking to, they're actually commanding me for what I'm doing. They're like, bro, like, you're inspiring me, bro. Like, seeing what you're doing, seeing that you're recording these videos, seeing that you're pushing out content, seeing that you're pushing out knowledgeable content, bro, that's inspiring me to go do what I want to do and go push to what I'm trying to do. I got one of my friends, he works in Clearwater right now. He's a travel nurse in a way, but it's a very high-end nurse, like do x-rays, XYZ. My boy is getting to the bag. But what is he texting me about? What is he asking me about? Let's get this Shopify store up and get this clothing brand off the ground so I can be self-employed. It's the higher level people and the high level people, the high income people that you still are trying to see, still trying to get away from this, working so hard every day, having a job and being someone else's slave. The one thing to that is we have to start learning our value. We stop putting ourselves at high value if you're sitting on TikTok all day scrolling. Like, you can't keep putting a reach and a goal up there, but you don't move or act like you want to get to that goal or reach that goal. You're contradicting yourself. It's just like what we see in the world. We're defunding weather when we need weather, but we're going to go fund other stuff and add more debt onto what we don't need. It's backwards living. We as a society can't be doing the same backwards living as well. Where are we going to go in the future? Where does that end up? What is the trajectory? Because I know Trump sees a trajectory where he's trying to have things. I know Jai sees a trajectory where he's trying to have things. I'm seeing a trajectory on where I'm trying to go. What is your trajectory? Where are you trying to go? What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to build? And then when you figure out what you're trying to build, start right now. Start building it right now. And don't just sit there and think on it and be like, well, I want to build this, but this is a stipulation. This is a con. This is a con. Think of all the pros and chase the pros. The cons are always going to be there. That's why we come with you. That's why we come and talk about the global economics, because other countries aren't going through everything we're going through. We're not going through everything like other countries are going through. It's a vice versa effect either side of things. But it's like, at the end of the day, me personally, all of us have the power to achieve what we want to achieve. But locking in and building the discipline when everything here is trying to strip you of your discipline, not to go too deep into this, because I know how sensitive people get. We're in Pride Month, the LGBTQ community, all of that. I have nothing against anybody in any shape or form. In the communities, in the lifestyle, I have no issues with nobody. I just know who I am. I respect myself. I respect what I do and who I like. Bro, if you like something else, you like something else. But my biggest thing on it is, look at all these companies that are backing this. Look at all the companies out there that are supporting the month so heavy. They didn't support Black History Month like this. They didn't support Black people like this. I just want to put that out there to show you. And this community, this play, this plan, this goal, this month, when did they create this month? I just want people to think on that real quick. When was this created? Because of what I know, my dad in the 70s did not know anything about this. Their 60s did not know nothing about this back then. This was not a thing. So I just want you to think, who created it? One, when was it created? It two, and look who's pushing it so hard. I saw NFL, when the NFL pushes something, they're serious. And the NFL's pushing it. You have airlines pushing it. Like I said, bro, I have nothing against anyone in the community. I have nothing against gay people. Everyone's free to do what they want. I do wish at times you just think of what you started as. And I know a lot of the choices that people make are trauma-based. And it's very understandable. Just don't try to go at some other people. I just saw yesterday in the news in Miami, a deputy got charged for assault because he went out, brought the girl to his crib, and then when he got to the crib, they're having a little, a touchy, and he figures out she got a penis, and he stole her and he kicked her out the house. Like, he fought her, and the charges got dropped. Like he didn't get charged for assault because she's portraying herself as a female going to your crib, and then you have to find out there's a male. That's not right. I never came to realization of what makes that logically right in our brains. Like, why are we tricking people of our identity? Why can't we be ourselves? It's a little tangent. I just seen that the other day, and it also comes into discipline, because then we got to be disciplined as men, but we can't be chasing everything, bro. can't be. Oh, you're getting a little lag. Okay. But that is we've had an action-packed episode. This is episode number 1. We've had a couple technical difficulties. It's the first time using new software. Huh?
We're 2. This is episode 1 of Wisdom Wednesday, but we did Tuesday last week.
No, we did Mindset Rewired last week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So this will be episode 2. This will be episode 2. Brother, we're doing it by the week. So if we did a video tomorrow and we did Truth Talk Tuesday or something like that.
That's episode 1 of that series.
No, brother, we keep going. This is a whole series.
Yeah, each individual topic.
No.
All right, Jai says this is episode 2.
Right.
I'm gonna say this is episode 1 of this topic. Wisdom Wednesdays, I'm saying it's episode 1, but Jai's saying episode 2. The title.
When it drops on the YouTube channel, it's not gonna look like that. That's why I'm saying it.
The YouTube channel has a playlist. I've created playlists now, and each topic, Mindset Monday, Mindset Rewire, is a playlist. Tech Tool Tuesday is a playlist. Wisdom Wednesday is a playlist. Yeah. So each video is going onto the playlist, but then just getting put on.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying episode 1, because
episode 1, guys.
We did an episode last week and we posted it last week, but the topic and the playlist is on there. It's different. We're outside, we're chopping it up. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Shit, I hope you guys enjoying us talking like this right here. You seeing what it is real life. But we didn't want to make too long of a video today. We wanted to test out the new software, see how this is going, having virtual information, having virtual videos with each other. Was there anything else you wanted to pop in and drop any gems?
Man, just make sure y'all like and subscribe, share it to a friend. Make sure y'all are checking out our TikTok and Instagram channels at The Wealthy Innovation and The Unfiltered Empire with an N. And that's about it, y'all.
Hey, Neurojuice. Keep that in mind. Just know, whenever, especially me, because for the people that watch this that know me from day 1, whenever I go quiet for a long period of time, I promise you I'm not just sitting there bullshitting. Something is being built in the background that's gonna pop up out of nowhere and be like, damn, when did he do that? So I just want to let you know, we are building right now Neurojuice. Me and Jai have been putting our hard work into this to feed and heal the people. And best believe it's going to work, and it's going to change the whole culture. I enjoy every one of y'all tapping in. I appreciate every one of y'all tapping in. I hope everyone have a great day. Remember, you are a version of a God in your own life. Act like it, man. Start moving with power. Start moving with discipline. This was episode 1 of Wisdom Wednesdays, and we'll see you again.
All right, yeah.